or fees and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Nowhere but Texas, that's where I'll be. Get home's the answer to all my dreams. I know one thing, God calls me. Nowhere but Texas is where I'll be.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It helps to unmute the mics.
You think?
Yeah, we already had one listener pop on and say there's no sound, but I see sound. I see things moving. Brenda, well, good morning and welcome to another edition of the County Pulse here on Joco Community Radio, brought to you by Alpha and Omega Pest Control here in, well, they're located in Burleson, but they work all over.
They do. Thank you.
They work all over DFW, and they do a fabulous job. And they're not only a sponsor, but I'm a client.
We are too.
I know, right?
I've been with Tim Davis for I don't know how long. So
we've been with Tim since we moved back to Burleson, which was in 08. 08? Yeah.
That boy's got a heart on him that you wouldn't believe.
He is an amazing gentleman. He really is. And he's really good to, I'll tell you what, you know what some of really shows in that? When you look at how long his staff has been with him.
I know.
I mean, Jerry has been spraying our house since we started with Tim, and Jerry was already there. So I don't know how many years Jerry's specifically been there, but he's just won it. And then his office staff has been there the same amount of time. So that in itself speaks volumes about how a person runs their business and treats their employees.
Still crawls in the attics. I don't know how he gets that big old body up in there, and I'm worried more about him getting out, but he still goes out on the jobs.
That's really, yeah, because he's like what, 6'5"?
Like 7 foot tall to me. If you're hugging an armpit.
Yeah. I go with, I feel the same way because, well, I'm only 5'5". However, my husband swears that I'm only 5'4". So I feel like I'm being picked on about it, but man, my computer is just, it's not cooperating with me right now. But anyway, so it's election day, Mr. Mayor, as you are. It's primary election day. Let me rephrase that. And
I am so ready for that to be over. I just so disappointed in some of the stuff going on. Did we lose something?
no, that was the air going off. Thank God.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Only we can
Well,
hear
you had
that.
this strange look on your face like we had lost something. So.
No, my computer's just doing weird things like it's the mouse like has a mind of its own right now, and I don't know what it's doing. And so I'm going to restart my computer. Not that that really matters right now, and regain control of whatever's going on here. Because you know what I don't love about Microsoft is the fact that it just decides it's going to force you to do an update whenever it wants to. And it did that to me last night when the lid was closed and it was completely shut off and unplugged.
And you didn't know it till this morning.
Yes. Yeah. And then it was really weird. And then on top of that, it then, we start our show. And then I went to go onto Facebook to pull up a post from yesterday to read something. And I was like, I can't get into my Facebook. So I thought I was hacked again.
Well, does it concern you the fact that cell phones went off?
When are you talking about that last week?
Last week or so. A lot of people lost their communication.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the city is going through with communication issues with the towers in Johnson County. So we decided, and the fire department's already got these, but a cell backup type radio. So
yeah, like you can switch channels.
Yeah, you can. Well, no, it goes automatic. It's automatic. When you lose the tower communication, it automatically goes to the cell side of it. Okay?
So I was talking to some law enforcement here in Johnson County when that was happening. Excuse me. And they already have a backup. They can switch the channels on their radios and go back to like the radio.
Channels, but it doesn't go to cell.
No, it goes to
another.
It goes in another way that they can communicate.
Yes,
it's an emergency.
And we can do that, but there was a time when we lost communication for like 14 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're switching over that. Well, when you get AT&T losing all those cell applications,
and
we're on that communication too.
Yep.
So that's troubling. But the problem is the bigger aspect is, can somebody attack our communications? If we lose that communication, it's kind of scary. And I didn't mean to get off track.
No,
we got plenty
but
of other local things to talk
but you know
about
what? It's a really valid concern, and I think that sparked a lot of conversation. I mean,
yes,
and I don't think these are conspiracy theory type of things, that when our country really gets attacked again, they're looking to attack us financially and attack our communication systems. I mean, let's be real, the way of war has changed from the way it was.
Our grid system would be vulnerable.
Right. Everything. So, even yesterday we lost internet from Spectrum Business for over 4 hours. And so that affects so much, specifically of my business. And so, I can go connect somewhere else and run everything, but or get on to, backup things, but still,
I really believe I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
I'm not there, but it sure raises my eyebrows on stuff of what's going on in the world. Okay, let's get something happier. Okay. You want to talk about last night's council meeting?
Yeah. Or your wait, which would you rather talk about? Last night's council meeting or your root canal?
Which one? No, I'm not going to do that.
Good morning, Brenda. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, kid. No, let's not talk about that.
All right.
I've got a reminder in my mouth right now, so I don't need to talk about it. So we had council meeting last night. It was our first joint meeting with P&Z, which was really pretty neat.
Okay.
We didn't know how to handle it because Dan had to open up his side and I had to open up my side. Public hearings had to have both sides. So I'll get onto that in a little bit because that information is, I want to talk about that subject matter in a little bit. We had AstroTurf. We voted on putting more AstroTurf on our fields. Brought up, why don't you do the whole field? And it was a financial decision into doing the infield and doing the outfield later because we're losing basically customers that rents the fields because of rain. So the AstroTurf is getting us.
Oh, so we're talking about Chisenhall, the Chisenhall
yes,
baseball.
Ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So we're getting that done. I got a lot of complaints on the golf course, and the main complaint was our golf carts breaking down and stuff of that nature. So we approved the purchase of brand new club cars, and these will have GPS on them, which helps us manage them better. You'll be able to go to the screen and see how far out you are from the hole, all of that kind of neat stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I've never had a golf cart breakdown on me at Hidden Creek, so I guess I just don't.
You hadn't been there at the right time.
I guess not.
These suckers are getting old too. This is kind of overdue. And I want to talk about our gentleman, old James. He is a gold man out there. He has made the golf course. The golf course is actually financially viable now. So
fantastic.
I mean,
congratulations.
He's doing a great job. He's got it upgraded. He's managing him and Jim both. They're doing a great job on that. And Eric Oscarson got up and talked about our new asset management policy, which is a new software that they're loading data in that not only just manages future growth, but analyzes our existing utilities and stuff and picks out where we need to go this and how to manage the money and stuff like that. So that's a big improvement of where we didn't have anything in the past. So here we go. I want to talk about this today because of the meeting last night. Prior to the council meeting, we had a joint meeting with the P&Z board, and really those guys have got a tough job. They really do. The council really relies on them and their expertise to get some of this stuff done. Last night was about the liquor sales. And the reason I want to talk about that, and this is the last thing on this report that I was going to bring up on the agenda, people do not understand the process of the liquor sales. It is the alcohol lobbyist is the largest lobby that politics has. They have got more money than you know what to do with.
More than the pharmaceutical industry?
Yes. Actually, it is. They control nearly everything. So when it comes down to approving a liquor store in any town, ours or any other town, has nothing to do with city council. It really doesn't. The process, Amanda, our city secretary, is the one that's taken the burden on this. But you start the process with an individual can come in and say, I want to put a liquor store in. He said, okay, here's a petition. This petition requires 10 signatures of registered voters in the city to sign it. That's all. Now that petition goes back to Amanda. That petition says, okay, that's the first step. Here's your next petition. Now that petition requires more signatures. It actually requires a percentage of the registered voters in Burleson, which in this case was around 5,400 signatures.
Wow.
Yes. They go off and they bring back over 7,000 signatures. Now, that has to be verified 2 times. Amanda and her group verified it the first time, and then we contracted to Tarrant County to do the second verification. Out of those 7,000 plus signatures, around 5,500 came back as good. This was brought up in the council meeting last night, and a gentleman, and I appreciate him getting up and talking about it because he carries the sentiments of a lot of people. And I know for a fact that this happened when they were getting signatures. The story that I told was the fact that somebody at the post office had a table up and was asking for signatures. And she was telling everybody that the mayor is really for this. really for this. I wasn't promoting anything. I don't care if you sign it or don't sign it. I have nothing to do with that.
So hold on. A citizen got up and said that you.
Well, no, this wasn't the only subject matter. I'm sharing a story with it. He didn't even bring up.
Okay.
But
Sorry.
there's two issues that they were using on this. But anyway, I went up there and confronted the lady. She was very sweet. And I said, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm getting signatures for the liquor sales. I said, really? He said, I understand the mayor is for this. He said, oh, yeah, he is all in on that. And I said, well, what's the mayor's name? He said, well, it's Jeff's or Jeffries or something. I said, well, ma'am, said, it's not him. It's Chris Fletcher. And I'm Chris Fletcher. And I'm not for or against this. I have nothing to do with this. And you shouldn't be telling people that. And she apologized and went on. There was a guy listening to all this, and he got kind of tickled about it, but I was fine. But there was another thing that really upset me. At a lot of the other places, they were telling people that this signature keeps it off the ballot. So that is something, but that's a bald-faced lie. And I don't think the people that were getting the signatures, they're just taking marching orders. So I'm not blaming it on them. And I don't know where this comes from. I don't know if it's just people that the Johnson hired to do this, or I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Or is it possible too that there's two different things going around, one that is for it and one that's against it? No. Okay. So there's only one going around that's for it.
Only one going around.
Okay.
So anyway, I was getting this from a lot of people also, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they got the signature. And this is what this gentleman was saying, that this is illegal signatures. It might be, but we do not have any type of venue to check a mindset of somebody. Okay. The only thing, are they registered and do they live in Burleson? Period. So the verification of this, there could be very well out of the 5,500 verified signatures, a lot of those people could be saying, I thought I was signing another way. Okay. This all comes down to one deal. It doesn't matter what's happened to this point. If you don't want liquor sales in Burleson, go vote in May. It comes down to the citizens. City council has nothing to do with it. We're at the mercy of the state law of how this runs. So if you don't want liquor sales, you need to knock on doors. You need to get adamant about it. If you want liquor sales, you need to go promote it. You care enough about it, go promote it.
Right.
It's your call. What the big deal about our joint meeting with P&Z was to create a structure where we don't have a liquor store on every corner. It was about zoning for liquor stores. All it was. We thought on council that 7,500 square feet requirement for a liquor store was too big. So we dropped it down to 5,000. We asked P&Z to modify it to that. That was the only thing we changed on the P&Z zoning. And we agreed. They voted on the change. They approved on their side, and then we approved their recommendation. So that's where we're at on all that stuff. Let's talk about the liquor store for a minute, and the fact that why an individual is wanting a business in Burleson for liquor sales. This comes down to our restaurants that have a need for drinks. They sell drinks, and they're going all the way to Alvarado because you have to buy your liquor within the county that you do business. Alvarado's in Johnson County. So they go all the way to Alvarado to get their liquor. The numbers that I heard of alcohol purchases to Fort Worth restaurants is 1.4 million a month. We get sales tax off of that. We actually get sales tax 2 times off the percent. A part of the sales tax when the restaurant buys it, because there's no exemption on it, and also when it's poured into a glass at a restaurant. So there is a plus for the city to do this. I have talked to Chief Cordell. What is the impact of a liquor store on public safety? He says there's none. There's not any. It doesn't change it. If it's a good, clean store, it doesn't affect anything. People are going to buy their liquor somewhere. You know, I guess he said the bad thing about it is someone's buying it in Alvarado and they're popping the top on the way to Burleson. That's an issue. But you got to be drunk to get a ticket. Even if you even if you got a beer and it's open, that's not a ticket. Now, if you get pulled over, we're going to give you the riot act on doing that, and we're going to take that open container and pour the rest of it out on the ground. You've got to be drunk, and they have ways of telling, without a doubt, the little eye check they do on you. If your little pupils are shaking a little bit, you're drunk.
Eye check. There are lots of things. A great, I think, comparison would be to go look at what happened in Lubbock, because Lubbock fought it.
The Strip.
They fought it for years to bring it into the city. Todd and I were still living over there when they tried to get it on the ballot multiple times. And the biggest fight was, of course, against the owners who owned all the strip liquor stores. Well, they were also some of the biggest Baptists in the area that owned those liquor stores, believe it or not. And so, of course, it was very lucrative for them. But we always said, why are you making people drive that far to get liquor? Wouldn't it be safer?
Did you know at one time Lubbock had more churches per capita than any other town in the United States?
I lived there for almost 10 years.
You're asking why they didn't want liquor stores, okay? So
well, but the irony of it for me was that when you looked at who owned the liquor stores, it was the biggest Baptists in the area.
I didn't know that.
I'm for real. This is absolute truth.
If people don't know what we're talking about in Lubbock, on the it would be the south side of Lubbock. There's a road, and just outside the Lubbock city limits was probably a half dozen beer joints, liquor stores, beer joints, whatever.
Yep.
And they were coordinated that they had drive-throughs through the back. All the fraternities, that's where they got their kegs. Probably some of the sororities too, but they're too. Never mind. Anyway, we go down through this road, but that was lovingly called the Strip.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody says, "Are you going to the Strip tonight?" everybody knew exactly what they was doing. So yeah, and Lubbock did not want it in the city limits.
Or who's going to the Strip to pick up for everybody else? I mean, and so you'd go out there. We'd go out there on like a Thursday night, and you're loading up for your weekend or however often you go out to get beer and wine. I mean, you could get beer and wine in town. You just couldn't get liquor. You couldn't get liquor in town, but you could get beer and wine.
And I'm not going to tell you how I know this, but there was people that would sit out on the front. You know who they were? They'd go in and buy an underage guys their drinks.
Oh yeah.
And everybody knew it.
You knew on Friday night.
Yeah, it was bad.
And it was really bad. That's if we had to go out there. So
I was just told about it.
The year after we moved over here, and Todd still had his we still owned a building over there for several years actually, and a house, and it was during that time that the ballot finally pushed through, and we're like, of course we leave, and now it passes. So it passed, and the Strip is dead.
It died. It died. Boy, there were some rich people that
I'm telling you,
fighting it hard.
I mean, I know that there was the argument that, they're going to have a liquor store pop up on every corner. I mean, but let's be real. Can we look at Tarrant County? There was not a liquor store on every corner in Fort Worth.
Well, there's area of Fort Worth that's really, and it's not the liquor stores, it's the bars.
Right. It's bars.
Yeah.
It's not liquor stores. And so I think there's such confusion in that. I mean,
Jacksboro Highway and that whole thing, but that was in place when Fort Worth stuck the first city limit sign in.
Right. I mean, if you want to see something like that, and you want to really boggle your mind, I mean, go to Minnesota, to all the old mining towns. There's a bar, and I am not kidding, on every small block on both sides of the street, because that's what they did. They mined There was nothing else to do unless you love nature. And that's not what Burleson's looking to do. That's not what anybody's looking to do,
No.
but to be able to help the restaurants, because they have no competition, right? So they
No.
only have one liquor store they can go to in Johnson County, and they jack the prices up on them.
They're not giving them any discount.
Yeah, they're not giving any discount,
They're
right?
not holding them hostage. But,
Right.
You know,
And honestly, that trickles down to everybody else. If you want a glass of wine when you go to dinner somewhere in town here, or you want to have any kind of cocktail, it's that falls over into your lap too. You're going to pay a higher price. So
and let me tell you
I
something
think it's a
else.
benefit.
Joshua is dying for this store, and they have approached the individual that wants to do it and given them so many incentives. The guy that's doing this is a local guy, and he wants it here because it'll help money wise to the city. It'll help.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't go here, it's going to be next door.
Well, we already have one in Burleson,
Fort
but it's
Worth,
in
but they can't. Our
it's Fort
restaurants
Worth,
can't buy there because that's
right,
current.
right.
So
right. And there was people and honestly, a very disgusting thing that's happening to that place. It's AJ's. You have people on social media absolutely trying to destroy their business already. And it's people who are just against liquor or whatever their issue is, their issue, but don't try and destroy people's businesses because you don't approve of liquor stores.
The world has gotten pretty mean.
The world is disgustingly mean. And social media has just been a horrible catalyst. And I think Facebook's made it worse with allowing anonymous posting. But that's a whole nother topic.
You know what really gets me is TikTok. China does not allow what we hear in the United States. They support their kids. They build them up on TikTok in China. But here they allow all the hate and stuff going on. And I don't know the answer to that. But
I don't like get on TikTok and like scroll through stuff.
I've never been on it.
I'll see like a reel that gets reposted to Facebook and maybe go down a rabbit hole for a little while, but it's usually funny or tearjerker stuff. I don't see the mean stuff.
You don't?
No, I don't. So I don't know.
Did it ever used to be on there?
I mean, I don't know. It's not really where I see the mean stuff on Facebook, to be honest. That's where I see the bullying.
After the election,
yeah.
I get on Facebook and I might say like or heart or happy birthday.
Oh, forget it.
And
yeah.
I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I lost 20 pounds that first time. I don't need another diet program like that.
I hear you. Well, we got a minute and a half before we go to a quick commercial break.
Anyway, let's end this one by just saying, no matter whether you like it or dislike it, it's up to you. Get out and vote. All you people that don't vote. I remember sitting on here with, I forgot, I guess it might have been Greg, a veteran, that said, you thank me all the time for being a veteran. If you want to really thank me, go vote.
It's so simple.
Bottom line, go vote. If you're not voting, this is on you. So
right. Well, and so I know that you have worked it out with other city staff to make sure that signage is going up for the May election. Is that correct? So that's still going to go out?
Yes.
Okay. See, and that's the biggest part, I think, is awareness too. And people don't know what's on the ballot. And if they're not paying attention, they're not going to realize it's not just about city council positions.
Get involved. You got questions, call.
Now, will May's election be a joint election with the school district?
Nobody's running on the school district.
Nobody's running. Okay.
So, yes,
That's not shocking.
You're going to one stop, sub courthouse, one stop. We got that worked out with the county.
That's fantastic.
Thank you, Judge Bedecker and the commissioners. Everybody was unanimous on that when we presented to them.
That's great. That's good.
We're doing good.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I can't vote in the city elections because I live in the county, but I'm excited and I'm still going to promote and make sure that people get out and vote because I wish I had a vote here. My business is here.
There you go.
So hang tight. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, nowhere but Texas.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Nowhere but Texas. That's where I'll be. It holds the answers to all my dreams. I know one thing. God calls me. Nowhere but Texas is where I'll be.
All right, well, welcome back to the second half of the County Pulse here on Joco Community Radio, where we are live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network, as well as our own app. And you can download that app for free on Android and Apple devices. Just simply search your store, or you can also go to tuneinjoco.com, where you can easily get to the link and QR code to do so. Or you can... You can listen somewhere else too. I don't know what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought.
You can't walk and chew chewing gum.
I usually can. That's the crazy thing. But thanks for joining us. We want to say a quick thank you once again to the main sponsor of the County Pulse, which is Alpha and Omega Pest Control, serving all of DFW and here at the radio station in my home, as well as the mayor. I believe you use him as well, right?
Absolutely.
So check out A&O. They've got you covered, and just excellent customer service. Love all the staff, and we were talking about this in the beginning of the show too. I mean, their staff has been there for, a really long time, and that speaks volumes. And of course, Tim, that big tall man, climbs around attics and crawl spaces as well, and we don't know how he gets out.
The
so
older he gets,
we're going to have to ask him that secret.
There's going to be the day when he gets stuck up there.
Right?
Bones get old, joints give out. He's going to get stuck one of these days, and we'll have the fire department out there dragging him out.
Poor guy. We don't want
to. No, he's a long way. Well, he's already having knee problems. Before we go off into the elections situation, I got one other thing. We had a deal on quiet horns, okay? Quiet zones for railroads last night.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And the subdivision, I don't know if they want me to bring them up or not, but we had a discussion last night, and the people were in the subdivision were pretty upset. This has been going on since like 2016. And I'm not going to talk about that so much because we had a decision or a direction that we gave staff that we want to do. And I hoping that the subdivision, I wanted to talk about this and shout out to members of our council, because the things that have happened in the past, this council really most of us had nothing to do with it. There was items that was promised. We don't know how they were promised. I don't know if they was written. It doesn't matter, but I truly believe it was done. And then because of financial ends of things happening at the time, it never got done. It never got addressed. And I was so proud of Dan McClendon, who took it on himself to say, listen, I was around. I'm sorry this happened. It was things that a lot of stuff was out of control, but we need to make it right. And he stepped up that and took it on himself. And there was another member on council that was there also, but Dan stepped up and took it.
Now, this was still about the quiet zones?
The quiet zone, the railroads.
So
this is about an intersection.
Are we saying that we want to have it or we don't want to have it?
We told them they could have it. And last night we came together. The second part of the shout out is Larry Scott. Larry Scott just continues to impress me on how he digs into the deep of these agenda items and comes out with these numbers. Now, the strong side on Larry on this one is he worked for the railroad. He knows all of these things. He sat out there and counted the number of trains going through there. And then when it spiked one time, he went and found out and turned out that they had a derail somewhere, and they were the uptick, as he called it, was put through this, and the trains went down south and then came back up to where they needed to go. This guy's impressive.
So which train passing
this is out on Dobson.
Out on Dobson.
Yeah,
okay.
You cross over Hidden Creek, you're on Dobson, and you go out to the
Oh,
turn.
right. Okay.
It turns into Hewlin.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
Okay. But it's out in that area.
So it's not a quiet zone.
It's not. No, it's just regular. It's just a train.
And they want a quiet.
Yeah.
They want a quiet zone.
And the train horn, it'll loosen your feelings up. So I understand that. I really do. And it's not, what I'm talking about is not the issue itself, but how pleased I am with my council right now. We're working together. We listen to each other. We come up with different ideas, and we want to make it happen.
So the horns, I mean, just to so people have an understanding, but the horns are for safety. It's to give people a warning. If they don't see the train, hopefully they'll hear it, that it's coming, and not be in the way of injury. So, I mean, there's quiet, and then there's safety.
There's three, actually. There's the train horn.
Okay.
And then there's a wayside horn that is directional. I don't think I'm calling that right. It's directional.
Okay.
It helps a lot. But the quiet zone is the most popular. It's the most expensive.
Now we pay for that, right? Don't we have to pay for a quiet zone? Pay the railroad?
The city, yes. They have.
Okay.
We have our part. There's going to be some road work that has to be done, and then the railroad will do their part, and they back charge us for that. So yes, it's an expensive thing.
It's expensive, and they don't necessarily have to follow it, even if you pay for it. That's what I heard.
What do you mean?
So what I heard is so let's say the city pays for a quiet zone, the train may not. You can't force
Honor
right.
We came across this over off of 731, and there was a train coming through there, and I can't remember exactly where it was, but they called in. We called the railroad, staff called the railroad and said, could you tell your engineers, because it's engineer discretion on these things.
Right.
Well, we actually called in. They talked to the engineers saying, please do this. And they actually started blowing the horn more.
Right.
So, yeah.
So there's just, and I say that just so there's a twofold, so that people understand that when you want a quiet zone and the city's paying for it, that it's not necessarily guaranteed, because you can't control the conductor.
You can't.
So, and it's not like they get fined. And honestly, if there's something in the way, they have to blow the horn.
I don't know any of the details.
I would think, right?
Other than our citizens was promised something way back there, and it's never happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
because Old Town's a quiet zone.
Yes.
Right. And so I have to say I haven't heard a horn in a long time.
Well, there's also a situation of neighboring intersections that won't have the horn, and they have to blow their whistle on the train so far away. And that was brought up last night. You need to be aware that even though you got a quiet zone here, you still got another intersection that overlaps the quiet zone, that they're going to pull the handle on that one too.
Gotcha. Okay.
But here's the bottom line. If we promised, we need to do what we promised.
Right.
Whether I was mayor or somebody else, it doesn't matter. It needs to be done. So, and I am convinced that it was promised.
Okay.
So, what else you want to talk about?
Really, it's this is your last day, people. You have to get out and vote. This is the primary election day. If you're still unsure, there's lots of resources online for you to get out and look at the candidates and decide, who would serve the topics that are and the subjects that are most important to you. It's if you're into party politics, great, but you really got to just research the candidate and see what's going to serve you and your family or your community the most is
That's right.
is what I do. I mean, that's how I vote.
And not only do we have state, but we also have local. And I want to tell you where we're at on roads right now, in the direction that we've gone in, and how somebody on council is very important to the long term of what I've done. And that's, of course, Dan and Victoria are both running. Dan is my right hand on paving and the roads. He's also on the steering committee for the master plan for the county. Huge. Victoria is also on that, but her importance is the fact that she is now brand new executive member of the North Central Texas Council of Governments. They pick where TxDOT goes. This being on the COG and Dan being on the county steering committee is huge for not just Johnson County, but particularly huge for Burleson. And I really would like to see these people back on there, if y'all understand what I'm needing.
But what does that really mean? I mean, how much control is there in that? I mean, just so people understand, how much control is that? And when you say they participate in where TxDOT goes, are we talking about where TxDOT is going to work on a plan next, or what does that mean?
Everything.
Okay.
North Central Texas Council of Governments. There is this area. This is the first one that was created by the states. Okay. It is a massive organization. We're going to have water problems in the future. They're already starting to work with that. But particularly on our roads, Michael Morris, the head of TxDOT, is part of the COG. The executive boards directs where we need it. We compete with Parker County, next door to us, Ellis. All of this bunch is fighting for these jobs. Okay, and they select. And let's. When I first became mayor, I had a very vague understanding of relationships, and these relationships have things done. Victoria got on the general audience of the COG and moved up to executive board, secretary treasurer. She will be the president of the COG in 2 years. This is because of relationships and the friends and the working relationships that I've done with others. The people that the executive board are past presidents of the COG. And we convince them that we're hurting for our roads. Now, here's the other thing. The county comes up, takes this master plan. They lay everything out. Freeze Nichols does this. We create this master plan. It's not just the county, it's the cities and the ISDs. Cities and ISDs need their projects done. We create a bond. COG also awards matching federal funds on our bond. We get a $50 million bond. We get another $50 million from the COG, a federal fund from the COG. Do you understand how important that position is now? And how I learned this is our city manager now came from Midlothian. He was a deputy city manager, I believe, at Midlothian. When their mayor was president of the COG, that's when they started getting all their roads done. It has to be, and here's another thing. COG and TxDOT looks at regional roads. Anytime a road helps more people than just one town, they jump on it. The other thing I've learned is what is shovel ready for the COG. I couldn't figure out how Parker County was jumping over us in the line. Well, I was taught that the engineering is the only thing you need for shovel ready. TxDOT okay with that. Parker County comes around. They not only do the engineering, they also do the right of ways. When right of ways need to be purchased and everything, they purchase their own right of ways. And then you come back around to EPA. That's a massive thing. EPA, they do their own EPA. But the thing that I like the most is when we go and have to buy the right of ways. You know, we're going to make like Renfro, we're adding lanes on that. Property on each side of it had to be purchased. Parker County does their own ROW purchase. Now, which would you rather do? Would you like to have one of our citizens here working with the state or working with somebody in the city to get it done? Now, you're thinking we're going to pick up all the tab on this. That's not the case. We get reimbursed this money for doing this. So when you have all four of these done and you go to Michael Morris of TxDOT and the COG, we've got it shovel ready. Only thing you got to do now is just show up, put your stakes in the ground, start putting concrete down for us. We've got to get that mindset on how we're doing things. If we'd have done this when we had the bond package instead of just the engineering, we'd be turning dirt right now. So there's a lot of things to be done. Going back to Dan on this, he understands all this. He can keep this going if anything happens to me. So we've got long-term down the road on this. This isn't about parties. This is what's best for Johnson County and Burleson, and that's what I'm trying to get across here.
Where do you see the biggest priority in turning dirt here in Burleson? What is our greatest need from TxDOT?
You can't pick just one. We got 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. We got 917 and that intersection on 917 and 35. That's a nightmare. We got Renfro out there with the school, and we got more schools that's probably going to be done out in that direction. Mansfield's got a problem. Well, Renfro helps Mansfield. 917 helps Mansfield. Mayor Evans. You turn back around, our Lakewood going out through there, TxDOT's going to pick up some of that for us. And that was on the bond package. They're going to do that. If we were shovel ready the way the new style is, we'd be turning dirt right now.
Are we working with the county when we're looking at that you're talking about Renfro, because TxDOT's only responsible to a certain point on East Renfro, and then it becomes county roads. And so
it's going all
528 is
917 is going all the way to Renfro's going all the way to 917.
Well, it already does, but
no, not with 4 lanes.
Oh, so they're going to take it past their original plan.
This will be a median 4-lane with turning lanes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew a part of it because we've got property on East Renfro that, we're working on. So, and then already working with TxDOT for what we need.
You're purchasing,
but out there, I didn't realize it was going to go 4 all the way, which is going to be huge because I live off of 528 and the Mansfield traffic, because everybody's cutting through now and coming off of 20. And I take that back way a lot if I'm going to Mansfield or I'm going to Dallas or anything like that. So that's a back way that I'll use too. And it's a nightmare right now. 528 is a problem.
And when school is getting in or getting out.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It's dangerous too.
Yeah. And we were talking Centennial High School. It's not so bad when Hidden Creek's getting out. That's because
they can take Hidden Creek.
Right. So that's the way we go. If we're cutting around as much as we can to not have to go past Centennial High School when they're getting in and out.
And the thing about it is Victoria's really stepped up on a lot of stuff, and I appreciate her. Okay.
Well, that's their job. I mean,
It
I just
is.
want to. I mean, this is not a. It should not be an above and beyond ask. You're
is.
elected to be in these
Then I'll
positions.
state it that way.
Yeah.
She has stepped up and gone above and beyond what is the calling. I got elected mayor. My job is to make sure I vote yes or no.
You've gone above and beyond.
Well,
you
everybody else
have.
needs to do the same thing, and I think they're going to.
I mean,
Okay?
honestly, to be able to have these sit down conversations that you're having on the regular basis with the public, explaining these things is not something that I recall happening in the past.
We'll continue it. I'm pretty sure these people will continue because the conversation with citizens saves our own bacon. If I don't know what citizens are wanting or asking, or if I let somebody else tell me what somebody else wants, is that accurate? Might be. Might not be.
Well, I think it's as simple as explaining the things like you were just explaining, which is explaining what the process is for, wanting to make a change, such as planning and zoning for liquor store or having it approved within city limits. Most people don't understand how the process works, and so you explaining that it's huge. And I think the thing that it really sets you apart as a mayor. And so I appreciate you. I'm tooting your horn.
You don't. I mean, I appreciate that. I really do. And I don't do this to get pats on the back or anything. It's my
No,
job.
you're doing your job. I mean, it's a compliment.
My next step and talking to some of the other mayors and everything, they go to Austin and visit with people that can help us. And I hadn't done that. I didn't know to do that. I'm going to DC on Saturday, and I'll have meetings with Congressman Williams and hopefully some other people to try to make sure we're going to get our part of the federal funds. I get excited about this stuff. I'm wore out right now. I had one day where I had 6 events. That afternoon, I had meetings at 1, 2, and 3. And then I had a couple of hours off, and then I had an event I had to speak at. That's fine. It's the way to go. But I have to keep this up to make sure we get our money. And I really have the backing of other mayors that can help me too. So that's good.
That is very good. I know we've got fires going on in the Panhandle of Texas. And I know you wanted to talk about that.
I did.
Talk about what you want to address it and with that, how it affects us and how we can do our part to help.
There is Nancy's from Pampa. Okay. She's right on the edge of that fire. And you think you're just burning dirt out there. What has happened is summertime's come in, all the dead grass up there. There's been over 3,000 head of cattle die. And that's going to affect meat prices. Right now, and Tim might be able to help on this, right now they're asking for hay. Now, a lot of the people loaded their cattle up and took them to the sale barn, which they sold really, really cheap. I don't have an answer to that. I know that my son and another guy is going up there to help rebuild. I don't know what's available, but what they need right now is our prayers. Y'all need to be aware of what's out there. Be careful of the scams. It's always there when something like this happens.
Right.
But it looks like a war zone up in some of those towns. Clarendon got hit hard. And whatever we can do, just keep them. If you can help. But be careful.
Do we know if there's any particular link or somewhere people can go to if they've got if they have hay? Is there any particular place that you're aware of?
I have never heard in any disaster someone asking for hay. So I don't have
Okay.
a clue. If you wanted to give, there's a group, and let's keep this straight here. I'm a Church of Christ, so I might get in trouble on this one. The Texas Baptist men are just awesome. They are set up for this. If you want to give to them or find out what you can do with those guys, American Red Cross is already on site. They're a good place to give to make sure it goes somewhere. I have no idea. I don't have a plan. I don't have an agenda on this. I wished I did. but I'm scared to say go donate to somebody and it be a scam.
Do we have an update as of today as to
I
how
hadn't
bad the
heard
fires are
much.
looking?
I'm hoping it's dying off, but it is now the largest fire in Texas. Ever.
In Texas history.
In Texas history.
That's what I read yesterday. So prayers for everybody out there. As of what I had read in the news last night, there's been 2 deaths. One was an 80-some-year-old woman who went outside, but they can't figure out why she went outside. So I would assume she probably saw an animal, wanted to save an animal. But who knows?
You know, they had 60-mile-an-hour winds with a fire.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When I build a fire, I get a little pot of it going. I'll go get my leaf blower and blow on it to really get it going.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. I mean, if you blow on something, the embers just take off all that extra oxygen. So bless her hearts up there. It's tough.
It's terrifying. Do we know what started this fire? Has there been
projection? And what was really funny, not funny, but we're going down the road and I see a trailer with its safety chains dragging and it sparks. That was one of the biggest problems we was having here during our little fire ventures is these safety chains on the trailers dragging the ground and they spark. So all you guys with trailers out there, tie those chains up.
Yeah.
All you got to do is twist them and it'll take the slack out of it before you hook it on. But don't let them drag the ground.
I've seen that. And then, of course, there's people throwing cigarettes out the window, which I
Stupid.
Still can't quite understand why anybody smokes. All right, let's get back to the fact that it is election day. In this last couple of minutes we have left, get out and vote. If you are not sure where your polling location is, go to johnsoncountytx.org, click on the departments, and then there's one for the elections office, and you'll see election day voting. If you are watching on social media rather than listening on the radio, we've posted a link to where you can get directly to that. And if you don't know what your your precinct number is different than your voting precinct number. So if you know that you live in precinct 3, that is not your voting precinct. So you need to look at your voter registration card to tell you what your voting precinct is, because it's just it has to be confusing.
Burleson is very, very simple. Sub courthouse.
Yeah, if you're in the city, lucky. I have to go to Lillian. to vote.
You're whining now.
Well, it's not that big of a deal. I got to head that way anyway today. I appreciate everything that you've brought to everybody's attention, and especially for those that don't watch city council meetings. I urge you to go on to burlesontx.org and go watch the previous meetings if you want to understand what's going on.
I make a lot of mistakes, so it could be really funny.
Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody in council is perfect.
And I'm gonna say something else. I am so proud of Burleson right now, the way they give to our nonprofits and how they're treating each other. We have a blast over the plaza when we have our get-togethers. Cops are patting me on the back. And I got me a Burleson Police Department sippy cup from Billy Cordell.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks again to Alpha and Omega Pest Control. If you've got needs, they can get rid of those pests for you. Have an amazing day. God bless and be kind. And be sure to check out the rest of our lineup for today. Tatiana Miller comes up at 1 p.m.
Thank y'all.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County,